It's a war zone down here. 1085 dispatcher, need additional units. Additional units now. Officer in danger.
Max Payne is a third-person shooter that was developed by Remedy Entertainment, published by Rockstar Games and released on the PS2 and Xbox in December of 2001. Originally released on the PC roughly 6 months earlier, this title generated some serious buzz due to its groundbreaking mechanic and went on to be a critical and commercial success. Max Payne draws heavy inspiration from old-school gritty noir films, so much so that it almost feels like a tribute to the particular style. Now, this game kicks off in what is possibly the most dark and disturbing openings to a video game I've ever seen. Max is a detective for the NYPD, and everything begins with him returning to his home in New Jersey, only to find his house in disarray and his wife and young child brutally murdered at the hands of 3 junkies that have invaded his home.
Michelle!
Ugh, God, that doesn't get any easier. So, Payne quickly deals with the intruders, and at this point we cut to 3 years later, with Max now part of the DEA, working on taking down gangs trafficking a designer drug named Valkyr, which is actually the same drug that the murderers of his family were using. He decides to go undercover and try to work the mafia from the inside. All is going fine until a meet-up with a DEA colleague who is assassinated right in front of him, leaving Max framed for the murder and now being a wanted man, along with being hunted by the mafia. The story certainly goes some places from here, as our main character becomes further involved in the corruption throughout the city. I genuinely think it's a cool plot, if not a little quirky, but I'd prefer not to spoil anything for those who have not experienced it yet. Now, in terms of gameplay, this would be a very straight-to-the-point third-person shooter were it not for the one mechanic that seems to elevate it to another level and turned it into a big hit at the time. I'm not 100% certain if Max Payne was the first game to feature slow-motion diving and shooting, but it was definitely the first game to popularise it in video games, the same way the Matrix films did for the movie industry. The campaign is broken down into 3 parts that are made up of 23 chapters and all follow a fairly similar pattern of Max progressing through the many dark, depressing and crime-riddled areas of New York, from dingy hotels to abandoned subway tunnels and mafia-owned bars and restaurants. Apart from the occasional hunt for items like keys and explosives, 95% of this game has a singular focus: shoot everyone. I'm not even oversimplifying the game when I say this, you really do just shoot everyone, but in no way is this a bad thing at all, because the shooting is so damn fun. For some reason, running into a room, hitting the bullet time button and jumping around like an idiot while you unload your dual-wielded pistols doesn't seem to get old, or at least it didn't get old for the 5 to 6 hour playthrough that I had. To be honest, trying to play the game without getting the full use out of the slow motion mechanic would not only make the game much harder, but also, if you're not diving around Matrix style at every opportunity, then what are you even playing this game for? Throughout the different missions, you'll build up quite the collection of weapons, including a variety of pistols, SMGs, assault rifles, shotguns, melee and explosive weapons. Ammo isn't exactly scarce, but isn't abundant at the same time, so you will switch weapons fairly often, which does help keep things interesting. It also manages to find a balance in its shootouts that feels like a fair challenge. It's not overly punishing, and you can make it through by mindlessly shooting everyone in sight, but you will fare much better with quick reactions and good decision making while you're in the middle of a slow motion dive. Also, with a game this old, you will have to go through a small period of adjustment to the controls, and because it's a PC port, the aiming is a little sensitive, but before long you'll have a firm grasp on the movement speed, and it will all feel a lot less awkward. You will run into some issues with some potentially frustrating sections of platforming. Luckily, most of them are over quickly, but when trying to make it across a narrow walkway, you don't feel as in control of the situation as you'd like, and you'll be making small flicks of the analog stick to prevent falling to your death. Aside from small gripes with the controls, the gameplay is pretty solid throughout. It's simple but fun, and the loop of slow-mo firefights is both impressive and engaging. What makes this game really enjoyable is the style wrapped around all of it. In place of animated cutscenes, it features a graphic novel panel style to deliver the story in between missions. Max narrates the entire game with his hard-boiled detective tone, and both of these elements combined made something that was quite unique for the time. There is a tongue-in-cheek element to it all, as you can tell that the developers and voice actors were clearly having fun when they put this together, and the entire game comes across as both a parody and homage to the genre that it clearly borrows from.
Smiles. The Finito brothers.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Payne in the butt. Payne to the max.
You're killing me. Did you make that up yourselves, or you get some wino downstairs to come up with it?
In addition, the visuals hold up better than expected. Yes, if you look at some of the characters' faces close up, they look like they're in constant anguish, but not only do the missions feel well crafted, with grimy and lived-in looking environments, the textures and lighting are also incredibly impressive for 2001. The game also features some fantastic animation, which is especially shown off as enemies are knocked back by gunfire in slow motion, but I also enjoyed the nice little touches as Max's jacket flaps around while he's running or jumping. The world of Max Payne is bleak and miserable, but somehow the design of the world is still interesting enough to explore, and it's clear that a lot of effort went into making sure that the style of the different areas complemented the game's tone and narrative. The same praise could be applied to the soundtrack too. It can switch from moody slow pianos to slightly cheesy guitars, but it never feels out of place and only enhances what's happening on screen. Dialogue is appropriately a little on the nose, however the delivery of the voice acting is exactly what this sort of story needs. The voice actors at work here clearly knew what they were going for, they even lean into it, and the story is all the better for it.
It's me. Open up. Let me in, quick.
Not so fast. The password. John Woo.
Come on. Okay, John Woo.
All right. Come right in.
Max Payne is a game that was mind-blowing in 2001 and in 2019 is still surprisingly impressive. If you own a PS2 or Xbox, I'd struggle to come up with a list of reasons as to why you shouldn't pick this up without doing some serious nitpicking. Is it a straightforward, all guns blazing third-person shooter? Yes, but with the action being as fun as it is, it makes it hard to take issue with its simplicity. Although you'll initially come to this game for the John Woo style gameplay, you'll discover a game with a lot of great noir style and a story that is more than interesting enough to hold your attention, and in my opinion, that's a pretty great package.